Folks, welcome to Retro Reload. We've got another exciting episode for you this Tuesday. I'm Dash V.
I am T. Pugmire.
I am Red Blaze.
I'm Mr. Nikon.
All right. We do have some news topics that we're going to cover and some general discussion that we plan to have. But before that, we actually have two things that we need to cover. The first one is, Tyler, why don't you go ahead and let us know? We had a Trivia Tuesday again, right?
Yes, we did. So I've gotten a little bit of feedback about my previous questions. They were maybe a little too hard. So I decided to kind of go easy on everybody today. And the question that I came up with was about passwords. And everybody knows passwords have been around pretty much since the beginning of gaming. Whether it's like a level select password or a just save your progress, or even some of the like hidden codes. I know they're like passwords, but kind of the same thing. So I was asking about one of probably the most popular password for Metroid, as Charles has got up there. And you know, I asked what was the most popular password for Metroid that's just commonly well known, and the answer is actually Justin Bailey. And kind of a funny story. Nobody has actually figured out who Justin Bailey is. There's a lot of speculation as maybe it's just a random code hardwired into the game somehow that just happens to be somebody's name, but nobody's really sure. But the funny thing is that when I was a kid, and I had Metroid as a kid, I had a friend named Justin Bailey, and he actually discovered the code before it was published in Nintendo Power. I mean, it was a freak occurrence. We're like, whoa, wait, it works? You know, so it was kind of funny. But anyway, that's your answer, Justin Bailey, followed either by a line of dashes or a line of zeros. Actually, I found out works too.
Huh.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
right.
So that's your answer for Trivia Tuesday.
That's pretty cool.
And just, I want to say real quick that the other pretty much well-known password for Metroid is Nappa's Sword, which basically is Nintendo America password.
I did not know that one.
Yes, I forgot about that one.
So I do want to say that you know, there have been various different rumors about the Justin Bailey password, but a group of hackers who actually reverse engineered the password system in Metroid have basically said that that just by looking at how the password generator itself is crafted and works, as it turns out, Justin Bailey is a total fluke. So that there's nothing special coded into that they could find. There was nothing special coded into Metroid for Justin Bailey specifically. So either the entire password generation system was built around having one master password be Justin Bailey, or it just so happens that Justin Bailey, much like many different Game Genie codes that actually spell out a word, just happens to actually do something ridiculously useful in the game. So,
Yeah, that's what I was kind of able to find out too, which I thought was interesting because this whole time I assumed it was somebody, you know, and I started researching it and found the same thing you found, which was
people thought maybe it was a person, maybe a developer, or like a nickname of a developer. I know another common one was maybe Justin Bailey was slang for like swimsuit, right? I'm just in my Bailey, that kind of thing. But it's also not that.
Huh, interesting.
So, Mr. Nikon, you've got a package there that you're jumping around like a kid at Christmas, ready to open. Do you want to give us a little bit of context? What is this package?
I found like Ninja Gaiden on eBay for like $10 of a mystery game. Guy just showed. You just saw the back of the game. That's all it was. I'm like, okay, well, it's a three-screw game, so you know, narrows it down. Doesn't have a battery in it, so I put some guesses out there. You know, I said whoever would guess it correctly, I would send them Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to the arcade game. So,
right. You know what? I never put in my guess. I'm going to say 1943.
1943. Okay.
I say The Adventures of Bayou Billy.
Okay.
I'm going to go easy. I'm going to go with Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt, because if there's one game you can't give away, it's that one.
Yeah, that's a cop-out.
Yeah,
So, let's see what this is.
either going to be that or watch it be Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Maybe.
I'd be happy to get that one. I think that one's an underrated title.
Come on, Trauma Shears.
Don't cut yourself. We're live.
It's okay.
Now watch him cut through half the game.
Turns out it
It's
was
little
just, it was
Sam.
just a paper mache model the whole time.
Yeah, it's little Samson, and he just cut right through it.
In the original box, too. So here's Ninja Gaiden. Okay.
Ooh.
And it is Tiger Heli.
Oh,
Oh wow.
we were
I
all
don't
wrong.
have this one.
Hey, that's not a bad game.
Yeah.
It's actually really good.
That's better than Mario Duck Hunt, right?
And I've got Mario Duck Hunt and Mario Duck Hunt World Track Meet. So, hey, awesome. Cool. Thank you, guy on
I just got rid of
eBay.
a bunch of those recently.
And he gave me a sweep, too, for it. Nice.
Nice.
All right. Moving on.
Moving on. So recently today, a friend of mine, he just got back from E3, and so we were talking a bit about E3 and everything in the show that we did last week. Check it out, folks, if you haven't already. We did a 3-hour marathon. It's broken into 2 half-hour shows. But he actually sent me a text earlier Monday. GameStop has launched their retro gaming side of their store now. So now you can actually go online or go into a GameStop and you can get Genesis games and Nintendo and Super Nintendo and stuff. What are your thoughts on that, Mr. Nikon? I know you were the one that said you went in there one time and asked if they had Genesis games. Now they'll answer yes.
Yes. I looked at their site, and some of the games seem pretty reasonably priced, you know. And think, it's GameStop. I think they would, jack up the prices even higher than what they should be. But
I would think the opposite, but give me your logic for why you think they would jack them up higher, and then I'll talk about why I think they would go the opposite way.
it's GameStop,
Because GameStop, that's your whole argument.
Did you not see what they did with Xenoblade Chronicles?
Yeah.
Or Metroid Prime Trilogy?
But that was kind of
Or
different,
Calling.
right? That was those are kind of different though, right?
Yeah, it was a little different scenario. But yeah.
Right.
So in that case, I think what they're doing is similar to like what Microsoft or Sony does, which is they get exclusive rights to distribute a product. In terms of the retro gaming, there is no exclusivity here. They can hoard as many games as they want, and there's still going to be resellers on eBay. There's still going to be small mom and pop shops. There's still going to be Amazon, JJ Games, Craigslist, right? They definitely aren't going to have a lock on retro gaming, which is why I think they're going to maintain their competitive edge. I think this is, we kind of talked about it a little bit a couple months ago. We had John the Greedy Gamer on here from Game Informer days. Their business, they want to make money, and if they want to make money if they want you to go to them instead of going to like eBay or Amazon or whatever, they need to provide you with the product in a superior fashion, superior prices, superior replacement policies and things like that. They can't play games like they could with Xenoblade.
Yeah. But then, sometimes I think, they're GameStop, and sometimes they'll get to think, oh, you're going to come here because we're GameStop, we have it in the store, and, a lot of people don't like going to eBay or going online sometimes, and,
Yeah.
Well, I
but
think-
this whole thing is online now. The whole
Yeah.
GameStop retro gaming is all online. They're not in stores yet.
Oh, it's only online? I thought you could go in the stores and get them too. I thought they had select stores participating.
Probably the ones where you can actually trade the stuff in, which is only like 1 or 2 markets, if I remember
Gotcha.
correctly.
Yeah, as far as I know, it's all online.
Okay.
I didn't know that. So maybe that's correct. I don't know.
Oh, okay. I thought they were doing like a test market, test stores and stuff thing too.
Yeah,
I'll have
I
to
think-
look into that.
I think it might still be kind of in the test area.
See,
And
my
they're-
understanding was the test market was to trade games in. I didn't think you could buy them yet.
Okay.
Maybe that's the case. I haven't really researched it.
We'll have to keep an eye on it. It's not clear from the website that unveiled, so certainly, it might be that they're launching online first, and then they'll see if it goes. But one thing that I can say that is going to be kind of a challenge for these guys. So if I look at their main page, GameStop.com/collection/retro-classics, I'll put a link in at the bottom of the video after the show. But you see stuff like a gold, Legend of Zelda cartridge, and then you go to like the actual games and they'll show like the gray cartridge. It's not clear. Am I going to get the gold? Am I going to get the gray? It doesn't look like they. It doesn't look like they classify, what version of a game is. So like if you want to know, is it a 3-screw, a 5-screw, whatever? It's a yeah, sure, buddy. Yeah, it's the game. So I think eBay in some ways will still have kind of an edge, if not on price. In that, there's so many people competing on eBay for you to buy the game. Most of them now are providing as many pictures and everything as you need to really determine, is this the right game? Is this the one that I want, the one that I need? And maybe that ends up being worth... We're going to do some price comparisons in a little bit, but I think what you're going to see is that GameStop is going to be either on par with or cheaper than eBay in most cases. That's what I suspect. But you're going to get a bit of ambiguity in the in the condition of the game. It'll play, certainly, I think, but whether the label's got a tear or a scuff or whatever, it'll be a surprise. You'll find out when you get it.
Yeah, that was going to be my thing to say, is that it's going to be a complete crapshoot, because you're going to probably get ones that have the box and manual. They said that they weren't throwing those away for those, but especially with like the PS1 and Dreamcast games, you're not going to know the exact condition that's going to be in, if it contains the disc, the manual, the case for it. You don't know if that stuff is going to actually be with it.
Yeah, you're right. Like I've just clicked on, for example, I'm looking at Legend of Zelda, buy pre-owned. The price looks fine. I'm seeing they have a price here. If you're not a Pro member, it's $25. This is for the original Zelda gold cartridge edition. Mr. Nikon, you've got eBay, right?
Yes.
What's that show for on eBay?
It is. Hold on. Let's see. Around just loose cartridge, 15, 16, 50, 17, 18 bucks about.
All right. Are you looking at the buy it nows, or are you looking at like currently open bids that haven't closed yet?
Let me actually go through completed listings. Make it easier that way.
Yeah, I've just looked on.
26 bucks. Let's see. One for 37.
Wow.
30. 12.50. See, they're all over the place.
Yeah, they're all over the place. But most of them, it sounds like we're 25 or over. What did you have, Red Blaze? You were at price charting, or?
Yeah, I'm just looking at price charting here, and where for this month it says loose 15.
Okay.
Last month it was actually 25, so it goes with that, I guess.
Gotcha.
Which is kind of when they really started this.
Yeah, if you're a Pro member, then I'm seeing you can get it for like $22.50. So, in that case, it is higher than the price charting, but it is. It seems like on par with eBay. So, obviously, the benefit here, when I'm looking at the description, I'm looking anywhere for something that says, like you said, Mr. Nikon, does it come with manual? Does it come with box?
Yeah.
There's not really, even if you click like videos and screenshots, it's not really showing me like anything. I just see a copy of the cartridge. So who knows? At least with eBay, right? You might maybe you're paying $27, but if you're getting it with the manual. If it's coming with a plastic sleeve.
There's gonna be marks on it or something like that.
Right. So let's see. T. Pugmire, have you ever used JJ Games?
I have not.
Can you do me a favor? Can you pull up a web browser and go to jjgames.com and do a quick search for Legend of Zelda, see what it goes for there, what a mom and pop sells it for?
I know that one game on there that caught me by surprise was Super C. Because, I mean, the other week I might have mentioned that for the whole cheap games.
Yeah.
Only to realize that it went up like $20 afterwards.
Oh yeah, that is not a cheap game.
And where all of a sudden now, eBay or GameStop is trying to sell it for $30.
To be honest with you, when I was actually looking for the game 4 months ago, it was at $45. So it sounds like it's actually come down quite a bit. But that was for $45 was for a complete copy, book, box, everything.
Yeah, I'm just talking loose because.
Yeah, I got a loose copy of it for $12, but that was off a collector, so he sold it to me for the love of the hunt.
I picked it up at Play and Trade for $10 back when the one was around me.
That's a great deal. What did you find, Tyler?
So JJ Games has Legend of Zelda.
Mm-hmm.
So so I've never been on this website before, so I'm just kind of getting used to it here.
Yeah.
Looks like they've got 3 different condition here. They have used with a cracked case for $21.97. Used with a scratched cover for $23.90, and used in good condition, $26.37. So it seems like they're pretty on par with GameStop.
Gotcha. So, but that's just one game, right? Let's do another one. Let's do DuckTales. This is the first DuckTales, not DuckTales 2. This is a fairly common title. I think price charting, Red Blaze. Let's start us out with price charting. I'm gonna guess that it's about $15.
I need to retype it because all I got was the remastered.
We're doing DuckTales NES, right?
Yep, DuckTales NES.
Right now it's at $18.75.
Oh, $18.75. It's gone up a little. I'm rich.
Yeah, it went from 15 to 18.
All right, Mr. Nikon, what's it going for on eBay's?
Right now, it is. Come on. It is not DuckTales.
Ooh!
Do we even want to know what came up?
An interesting photo on eBay. Come on, computer. So,
all right.
So, hold on, give me a second.
While Mr. Nikon is getting current with technology, Tyler, what's it going for on JJ Games?
So again, they have different conditions.
Okay.
They have 3 listed here. Used with stickers on the game is $20.57. Used says scratched cover, $21.22, and used in good condition is $25.46.
Okay.
I don't want to complete.
I was going to say, Mr. Nikon, has your new computer arrived?
What did you type in? Because I'm trying to find out what the hell you were talking about there.
I don't know.
That's probably a more interesting show.
Oh, wow. The Family Column version of DuckTales is pretty cheap.
Yeah,
it is.
DuckTales
It's
2
very
Famicom is about $22, $21, $24.
The reason that it's cheap is because you can't finish the game unless you know Japanese.
Yeah. DuckTales on eBay, buy it now, $19.95.
Okay.
I don't want Darkwing Duck.
So that's good. We got one price point. I think if that was the buy it now, that's probably what the rest of the buy it nows are going to be. So GameStop, $19.99. That's if you're not a member. If you are a pro member, then it's $17.99. So about $20 for a non-member, $18 for a member. So they're basically, yeah. If you've got a membership, you're getting it at thepricecharting.com current price. So it's cheaper than JJ Games. It's cheaper than it's on par with eBay, and you know, if you've got the membership, it's actually pretty darn close to what the value is rated at. So not bad. Let's do another one. This one's gonna be let's do some of the more popular ones. Let's do Chrono Trigger for the Super NES. Because a lot of people were commenting, "Oh, it's great. I don't see any games over $50." This game is over $50.
Super Nintendo.
Let's see. Chrono Trigger.
Wow.
Loose, 94 and 72.
Yeah, $99.99 on eBay, and they say it's trending at $104.99.
Wait, what?
Okay. Yeah. So trending at 104, right? On eBay.
Yes.
What was it on price charting?
What was it? 94.32.
$94.32. Tyler, do you have it up on JJ?
I do. They don't have it, but they say estimated price is $101.
Okay. The current price on GameStop is $89.99. So $90 if you are not a member of the Pro Club. $81 if you are a member. That's
a pretty good savings.
That's a pretty good savings. I think that the cost of that game, I think across the board, that game is like prices way inflated over what it ought to be. But in this case, GameStop is giving you the best deal, hands down, by like $20.
Do they have Shenmue on there? Let's look that up.
Shenmue, they do have. Are you talking about the Dreamcast version, or are you talking about another version?
Is there another version?
I wasn't aware, that's why I asked. So Dreamcast is the only one. I saw it the other day. Let's all look up Shenmue, and I will give you...
Because I know that one got on the rise real quick.
the first one you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
All right. I'm ready with it, but do you want to tell us what price charting says it is first, Red Blaze?
Well, let's see. Let me get up also... All right.
While he's doing that, we want to take this opportunity to say Subway, Eat Fresh, which is proud to support the USO, also sponsored by Coca-Cola. Welcome to Retro Reload. Back to you, Jeremy.
Pepsi.
And this is why you can't really trust these price charting sites. Right now it's got loose 30, complete in box 28.
Gotcha. Well, that's actually, I think, accurate, because what they're not reflecting right now is the knee-jerk response people have had to the second title being, or for the third title rather, being announced. So.
Yeah, and you can see on here that they're also listing the loose prices on eBay, Amazon, and Half.com. This is pretty weird because for loose, it's got 28 on eBay, 71 on Amazon, 75 on Half.
Yeah. Yeah, this is where...
And complete on eBay is 75 right now, apparently.
Gotcha. Okay. Does that jive with what you're seeing, Mr. Nikon?
It does. I got there's a complete with passport Shenmue for like $90.
Holy cow.
And there's another one for like $56. So I thought that's bid.
Those are complete, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is one of those ones where, Tyler, what does it show on JJ? Do they have it? Or do they...
How do you even spell it? Because I'm not saying anything.
SHENMUE.
That's what I thought. Yeah, they don't have a listing for it at all.
Okay, that's okay.
Huh.
So they don't have it. So they're out of this one. But GameStop has it, and it is $30 if you're not a pro member. It is $27 if you are.
That's a very good deal.
So now the only thing that we don't know with that, obviously, is you don't know if you're going to get it in the jewel case with the actual art and the book.
Mm-hmm.
Versus eBay, you're going to know for sure whether or not you're getting it complete. It might be $50, but you'll know that you're getting it complete. So,
I just thought that it would be a good idea to bring that one up because of just how much it skyrocketed all of a sudden.
yeah, I think that it's perfect. What we're generally seeing is that right now for a lot of these games, I think we're seeing that the prices are either spot on or under. This is the
How
trend that
about
I'm seeing.
How about we do a PS1 RPG?
Okay, throw us a PS1 RPG.
Um, hmm. Legend of Dragoon.
Huh, that one came right up. All right, what's that show on price charting, my friend?
I gotta type it in first. Dragoon. Let's see. Loose complete box. Complete box is about 20. Loose is 13.
Okay. Mr. Nikon, do you have what the eBays think of that?
Yeah, it's $12, trending at 18.48.
Okay. And then Tyler, anything on JJ?
They don't have it, but they do have a listing that says estimated price 13. That's for the
Okay.
greatest. That's for the greatest hits version. I don't know
Ah, okay.
if that matters.
Yeah, this one, I think, well, on eBay, I think it definitely matters. A lot of people look for the black labels over the greatest hits. That is another good point. I see GameStop use pictures for some games kind of interchangeably. So I've seen some games that are showing greatest hits cover, and I see some that are showing black label, but I never see the same game listed twice, which I think means you could buy it even if it has a picture of black label and end up getting greatest hits, or vice versa, get it greatest hits and end up getting black label. So it's just another one of those weird inconsistencies where if you're not seeing the exact product that you're getting. All that said, GameStop's price is $18 for non-pro member, $16.19 for pro members. So it's roughly in there, give or take a couple bucks. It's definitely between the price charting loose versus full prices. So let's do consoles themselves.
PlayStation 1.
Yeah, let's see what a PlayStation 1 goes for if I actually just want to go ahead and get the console. Can I find the console?
Yeah, there should be an area that's got just consoles.
Let me see here. What's really cool is you can buy the controllers. I'm seeing the PlayStation controllers for about $8. I'm seeing memory cards for $8.
I believe they got Dreamcast controllers for about 10.
You're correct. $10 for a Dreamcast controller, $15 for a memory unit. For the 4x memory unit, for a normal memory unit with a visual screen and stuff, that's $8. So those look like really fair prices to me. About what I'd pay if I went to mom and pop. The Nintendo 64 expansion pack is $20. Mr. Nikon, eBay that one. I'm pretty sure eBay is charging more than $20 for those.
All right, I got the systems up on GameStop, actually.
Which one?
Let's see.
I've got 64 up, Genesis, and the PlayStation 1s.
Genuine
okay.
Nintendo 64 expansion pack, $19.99, $20.99, $19.95,
Oh,
There they all are.
$22.95.
All right, I stand corrected. It sounds like
Now
we're right on with those. For the
Now I got the
consoles,
ones that are for
Yeah.
yeah.
Red Blaze, what's the PlayStation 1 console go for on GameStop?
Both the Slim and the regular one are 40.
Okay, what does it come with? Did they mention?
I just clicked away from it. Just as far as I could tell, includes one controller, power cable, and audio-visual cable.
And
Okay.
do they tell you which version of the PlayStation 1 you're getting?
They got both listed, so for the Slim and the regular one.
Well, for the regular
So-
one, which version of the regular one? There's what, 4 different versions of it that
They don't list that.
I guess there's some are better than others. Like
Yeah, I
with
know that there are some
reliability.
I know that some have the audio-video inputs on the back.
All right. What's a PlayStation 1 with all that stuff? What's a PlayStation 1 go for on the interwebs on eBay?
eBay about $20, trending at $24.99.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, loose is about that on price charting, and completed box is $32.99.
Okay. So the price for the console is a bit high, but let me ask you this: what's your confidence level in buying a used PlayStation 1 with all the hookups and everything from GameStop versus, say, some random person off of eBay? Which would you be more comfortable with?
Depends on what GameStop's warranty is. If they have a good warranty, I'll go with them. You know, that's more than 30 days. You know, if they pay a little bit more for, you know, for like a 3-month or, you know, or so warranty, you know, that's worth it.
Let me see here what they say.
I know, like the original PlayStation 1, that little spindle where you put the disc on, that's kind of fragile. Those kind of break easily and won't let you read your discs correctly. So,
With the CD-based consoles, the old ones, you know, the lasers go out, and there's a certain amount of wear and tear that isn't really present on cartridge-based systems. So that's something to consider as well.
So now this is interesting. I don't see for the PlayStation Slim, I don't actually see anything that would indicate what the return policy is. That's very odd. Usually those are pretty prominent, right? They'll tell you outright.
as is, 30 days,
Right.
90 day.
So I think I would be willing to bet that they're more flexible than say an eBay seller. Like what I would expect, I could go to a GameStop later this week and ask them and follow up on another show. If I order it online and it doesn't work, I would expect that I could take my receipt, walk into a GameStop and say, "Hey, this doesn't work. I want in-store credit." What the heck, right? There's probably some kind of sticker or something on there that indicates that it came from their inventory and that kind of stuff. Versus if I buy it on eBay, you know, you might end up kind of stuck unless you want to pay shipping and all that other stuff.
Just for basically the hell of it, I went and just checked out the PlayStation 4 to see what it has under there and where it's got the whole pre-owned price guarantee or the pre-owned guarantee under it, and where that's not on the older systems.
That's very interesting. We'll have to. I'll ask them directly at a GameStop store and see if I can get some clarification on that.
Hey, if you buy a PS4 right now, you can get a movie ticket to Pixels.
Nice. Nice. I don't know how I feel about that particular movie, but you know what, Adam?
50-cent value.
Adam Sandler needs work, so what you're trying to do, don't let previously famous actors become homeless, all right? Watch Pixels.
What are we doing for Nicolas Cage? He keeps losing all his castles he keeps buying.
Yeah, but he keeps finding all those treasures afterwards.
It's like Nicolas Cage, oh, want to do a movie? Okay. What's it about? Here, just sign the script. Okay.
You turn into a skeleton and you ride a motorcycle around.
I do that normally.
Your head's on fire.
All right. There's one other. So in that particular case with the PlayStation, it ended up the PlayStation 1. GameStop ended up having the high price, but just to shake things up and to show that doesn't mean count them out entirely for consoles. Let's look at what's going to be a different story. Let's look at the NES top loader.
Yeah, I pulled that up already.
God.
Yeah.
So what does price charting tell us the NES top loader is worth first?
Come back to me on that one.
eBay is about $100.
$100 on eBay for an NES top loader.
Yeah, JJ Games says $92.69.
$92.69. Holy crap!
But that's the cracked case version. The good condition one is $103.
Wow.
Yeah.
And if it has a dog bone controller, you know.
Price charting is saying that loose is about 80 and complete is about 110.
So I am not seeing right now, if I actually go to Vintage Console, I'm not seeing the top loader on there anymore. They might have actually sold out, or they might have delisted it.
What you're going to want to do is X out of the usually ships in 24 hours to actually see all the consoles they have.
Ah, okay, there we go. Thank you very much for that.
Yep.
Okay, now I can see the now I can see all the models. The NES top loader, the NES 101, is $60.
But they're out of stock.
They're currently out of stock. They weren't earlier. I think people saw that and jumped on it. People probably bought it off of GameStop and then turned around and listed it on eBay for $100 for some quick cash before people realize it ain't that expensive no more.
Yeah, here's another top loader of the 2 dog bone controllers and Mario Brothers for $150. No.
Yeah. So it looks like, for the most part, there's going to be some hits and some misses, but I have to say overall, it sounds like GameStop's prices are either dead on or slightly cheaper. You will find if you keep searching, you'll find ones where they're higher, but even when they're higher, it looks like they're not higher by much. Really, the big question is one of quality. Am I going to get the full thing? Am I going to get different pieces with it? If you don't mind being surprised, I would say expect that the price. Yeah, I mean, expect the price that you're paying is a loose price. And then maybe you end up with some. Maybe you end up with some extra, Tiger Heli or whatever it was that, Mr. Nikon there.
Tiger Heli.
Just looking at the list real quick, I find it kind of interesting how they have the Sega Genesis there. They show the Model 1, and then they have the Sega Genesis 3 listed separately. But
Why
yet
is that?
They don't have the Genesis 2 up there.
Ah, they don't have the Model 2. That is really interesting. This might be based on what got, traded in. So if they didn't get a lot of Model 2s, it might be nothing more than that they just didn't get enough Model 2s traded into where they have a big, stock of it.
Yeah, but isn't the Model 2 more common?
I don't know.
I have 2 Model 1s and a Model 2, so yeah.
Well, it's kind of the same here, actually. Though I never seen the Model 3.
Yeah, Model 3 is kind of the crappiest of all 3 of them.
I hear that, but I also hear it's pretty import-friendly.
Yeah, I don't think the Model 3 was even made by Sega. I think they farmed it out to someone else.
I think you're right on that, Mr. Nikon. Another thing worth mentioning is that there actually are multiple versions of even the Model 1. For example, the one that they have pictured does not say high-definition graphics across the top of it, but the very first Model 1 had, in big, giant capital letters, high-definition graphics written across the top of it. I think when HD TVs got announced, they removed it because they didn't want to get accused of false advertising, because high-definition graphics actually meant something once HD TVs came out.
How long ago did HD TVs come out?
I think they announced about 95, 96 when they first announced, hey, this is the future of TV.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was about 16. So I was working my first job. I remember, or actually my second job, but I remembered one of the guys that I was working there with. He was so excited. He was talking about it, obsessing about it. So he got a rear projection HD TV, and he spent the first year and a half just pissing and moaning that not even PBS had supported it yet. So he had this HD TV, and it's like, my DVDs look amazing. It's just like real life, and then all of television blows.
Yeah, now
you could not watch Bob Ross in HD.
Now it gets 4K now.
I know, right?
Happy little trees.
HD looks like crap, but Going back to that, the Model 1 Sega Genesis, the one that's marked high definition graphics, didn't that have a better sound chip in it, I think?
Ooh, that I'm actually not sure of. You mean better sound chip than the second one that came out?
Than the non-HD graphics labeled Model 1.
Yeah, it was the TMSS chip, I believe is what it was called.
Well, what I can do is, I do actually happen to have both the high-definition graphics model and the non-high-definition graphics model. You guys have heard before, right? My wife's grandpa used to own a game rental store, right?
Yeah.
And when he passed, he gave my wife all the Genesis collection. So, anyway, long story short, there's a problem with that console that he gave us. Go figure, like 1 billion people rented this thing. If you hook a 3-button controller into it, it always acts like down and left is being pushed. There's some weird short in it that I haven't been able to track with a voltage meter. So I think the chip is, I think the ICU, the chip is actually broken. That reads the controller input, because if you plug in a 6-button controller, it works perfect, but you can't play any 3-button controller only games because some of them lock up if you have a 6-button controller plugged in. So anyway, I was going to do a transplant of the motherboard from, I have 2 Genesis Model 1s, one high definition graphics, but her grandpa actually wrote like the name and phone number of his rental store on it, which would normally degrade the value, but in our case it has sentimental value for that exact reason. So I was going to do a motherboard swap from the old system to the new system. When I pop that other board out, I can show us side by side, and we can see if the chips are different or if it's just what's on the front.
The TMSS that I was just talking about is not SEM. I just looked it up. I was off. It's like the lockout chip for the Nintendo. It's a security measure. So. Just to clarify.
Yeah, when I pull it open, I'll leave them open for a bit, and I'll show you guys. I'll just hold them right up side by side, and we can see what's different. I heard stories from developers about supposedly Model 1s. Like, this one definitely doesn't have it, but I'd heard some stories from folks that used to develop for the Sega Genesis about a model of it that actually had the CPU socketed on the board. And what they would do is they would just get those Genesis units, pop the chip out, and then they had a daughter board that they would plug in that would allow them to hook in like through serial or parallel or whatever to actually do debugging and everything of their stuff on console. To date, I have never actually opened a Genesis and found a socketed chip. So I don't know if those guys were maybe they're just not remembering correctly, or there might be another version of the Genesis that we just haven't seen yet that might be less common.
Yeah, the only time I've ever seen like an actual change in a chip was the sound chips for the Super Nintendo, because my board on my Super Nintendo went, and where the guy at the Play and Trade allowed me to swap it out was one that they were using for just testing, and where the one that I had one for Philips in it. The one that I swapped it out for was a Sony one.
You're making this news is making Tyler rabid. I was seeing him foam at the mouth just a little bit ago. No, yeah, another interesting thing about the Super Nintendo is that only the launch model Super Nintendos actually work with the Super Nintendo Game Genie. Not a lot of people know that. Nintendo, some folks know that Nintendo tried to sue Galoob for the Game Genie back in the NES days. That lawsuit persisted until the SNES days. But once they determined that they couldn't stop Galoob from shipping its product, they did the next best thing, and they just issued a hardware rev that detected the Game Genie, and if it was plugged in, they undervoltaged during the switch from Game Genie to game, so it would dump the code that you'd put in. So you could plug it in, play your game, but you'd think the Game Genie was a broken piece of crap because it wouldn't take any of your codes.
Huh.
So With the launch models, it does work. So if you find yourself with a SNES Game Genie and you're trying it and it doesn't work, it's not the Game Genie, it's your SNES console. The minis especially, none of the minis work at all with the Game Genie. So I found that out the hard way trying to put blood in Mortal Kombat. So just they don't want you doing that. All
I wonder
right.
if that's also when they made that switch from Philips to Sony.
I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. It could be that when they were doing the
Or from
hardware
Sony
route.
to Philips.
Yeah. Now,
I was going to say, I noticed that the Philips one was actually a socket and not actually on the board like the Sony one.
oh, I hadn't heard about that. I'll have to actually look for that on the
I wish
next.
I took the other motherboard and just to show you guys how it looked.
Now, as from a user perspective, did you hear any difference in the sound, or did the sound
No,
sound
mine
the same?
was all graphical. The
Okay.
graphics were the problem,
Ah,
especially
okay.
especially ones that used the Super FX chip and Donkey Kong Country for some reason.
Gotcha. So, we're getting closer to time. I think we got about 10 minutes left or so. I think actually more close to 15 because we started a little bit late today. But I think we're pretty much done with the GameStop topic. So the only other topic I wanted to give, I actually wanted to tell you guys about this last week, but it was E3, and it seemed like small. There's so many bombshell E3 announcements that it seemed like kind of small potatoes in comparison. But a lot of folks are familiar with the Retron 5. Those that haven't bought it yet, just a little bit about the pack-in wireless controller. It sucks. It's horrible. It doesn't get better the more you use it. I've got the wireless controller that came with this one. I used it I forced myself to beat games like Super Metroid with it and stuff. It was very painful. I could not wall jump with it at all. But long story short, after extended gaming with the pad, I would say like after you put about 20 hours in on the pad, the buttons become hypersensitive. So you'll find a lot of button presses that you didn't intend. You'll find, you'll press the button a couple times sometimes, so it's either oversensitive or not sensitive enough, but it's not consistent. It just seems to be the way that the clicky actuators that they picked to under the hood, just the way that they break in less usable, because everyone wants a controller that becomes less usable the more you use it.
Mine just squeaks.
Yeah, the battery life was fine, but it's just not. The controller feels cheap in your hands. It's awkward. It hurts. Totally unlike the NES 30, which is made by a company called 8BitDO. NES 30 is a really cool wireless controller. It's built to 1-to-1 scale with the original NES controller. The only obvious difference being L and R buttons and X and Y buttons. So you can actually play Super Nintendo games, Sega Genesis games, and everything with this. It's got multiple modes that you can use it in. So you can plug it in through USB and use it as a USB joystick. You can use it as a Bluetooth joystick on your PC. But you can also pair it with your Wii, and you can pair it with the... I know that sounds really weird, right? Moving on. You can also pair it with the Retron 5 now. They released a firmware on June 5th. I actually posted a request for this 4 months ago. I'm not saying that they did it because of me, but you're welcome, Internet. I asked for it, and they delivered. So you can use 2 of them on the Retron 5, which is really cool. So you can pair them as controller 1, controller 2. So what's really cool is there is 0 lag. The buttons are amazing. I played through and beat Shatterhand with this controller. And I can wall jump in Super Metroid like it ain't no thing. So this is definitely, if you want to get your, whether it's GameStop, eBay, or whatever, if you want to start filling in your Genesis, SNES, Nintendo collection, and you want to have a controller that's worth a damn, but don't want to have to plug in the old school controllers that only have 6 foot cords, this is what to get. They also have another one That is the SNES 30, which is a Super Nintendo shaped controller that is also Bluetooth wireless, and it's just as amazing. The driver support is the same. They use the same driver, so you can also pair that with the Retron 5, with your Wii, or with the PC. So I wanted to give a shout out for that. So if you're picking up your games at GameStop and you want to play them on the Retron 5, this or the SNES version, that's the controller to do it with. So I know, Red Blaze, there was a news item that you wanted to bring up, I believe, right?
Kind of. There's going to be a new Dragon Ball Z game. You know, they come out every so often and whatever, but this one's actually going to be possibly a really good fighting game because it's being done by Arc System Works, the same guys behind Guilty Gear, Blaze Blue, and Persona 4 Arena. And where those are all really solid fighting games right there. So this is probably the closest you're going to get to a really, really good Dragon Ball Z game since the original Budokai, I want to say. The newest one, Xenoverse, wasn't that bad, but I don't know. I'm kind of more excited about this one. Dragon Ball Z Extreme Butoden.
Dragon Ball Z Plutonium Pack. They're doing a Dragon Ball Z Duke Nukem crossover.
Oh no, that was Bio Brawly.
So, but speaking of old coming back and being new and everything, I think we'll close out tonight's show with we got some news from a couple different outlets now, interviews with the devs for Final Fantasy VII, the remake, making it clear here now from the beginning, they are not trying to make a one-to-one perfect remaster of the original. They're definitely thinking a little more out of the box than that. And this is, I'd mentioned before, I was kind of hoping that it was like a retelling and not so much a not a remake in the whole like updated graphics and visuals, but everything else is the same. But I hope it's really more of them taking a look at the hardware and the software and how gaming has changed over the last 20 years and figuring out how do we take everything that you loved about the original but then take it to the next level. And it sounds like that's more the approach that they're taking. I think it'll be more rewarding for the developers so they don't feel like they're just rehashing and retreading old ground. I think it's going to be interesting for some of the adamant fans, though, that are expecting it to be exactly the same. But to them, I just say, have some patience, see what the developers come up with. You'd rather have them making a game they're excited about making that feels fresh and new again than have them just kind of like plowing through, chipping away at trying to, squeeze blood from a stone. What are your thoughts, though, Red Blaze? Looks like you want to say something.
Yeah, well, we talked about this before, didn't we, me and you? About the whole wanting it to possibly be more like Crisis Core?
Yeah. So I know that you're definitely open to it and stuff. I think at the time, though, we were both kind of speculating, right? We didn't really know what it was.
Yeah.
They've actually come out now and said, look, we're not going to try to faithfully reproduce the original one for one. We're gonna take some liberties and hopefully to improve the game. I think it's a great thing.
I remember reading an article a while ago saying that they didn't want to do it one for one because they're releasing the PC version of it on the PS4 and stuff already, so they don't want to have the same game twice.
I can totally see that. It makes sense. I mean, and from a development standpoint, I mean, some of the folks that are coming back are folks that worked on the original, and once you've done something and you felt like you've done everything that you could, to just simply go back and redo it again for the sake of redoing it, I can understand and appreciate. That's not the kind of project you want to, embark on. Who wants to go back and do exactly what they did all over again? But if instead you want to kind of reimagine it, right? What would this game have been if we had a PS4, caliber machine that we could actually render it on? What could we do with the graphics? What could we do with the sound? What could we do with the gameplay? I'm expecting to see new and better improved gameplay mechanics than what the original was allowed to have. And that would really be my biggest disappointment, is if I got it and it was the exact same game, only better graphics, because I think of certain things in there, like the weapons and everything. I'm expecting more Shadow of the Colossus type weapon battles and less, less giant polygonal creature Star Fox type battles.
Yeah, I'm gonna say right now, I do not like Final Fantasy VII. I do not like that game at all, and I'm more curious as to how they're gonna change it for me personally.
What are your thoughts, Mr. Nikon? I know that you haven't played. I don't think you've played it before, but in terms of what are your thoughts on, should they be going? Do you think that they should be going more like just give the fans what they want, just give them HD visuals and CD audio and call it a day, or do you think there's some merit in reinventing it, so to speak?
I like to see kind of like both sides. Give the fans what they want, but if they reinvent it, they could do that, but maybe just kind of give it a different name than what they're naming it.
Final Fantasy VII, the other edition.
Or
I think they've kind of done that though, right?
Final Fantasy VII Paradox or something like that.
Well, if you want Final Fantasy, right? If you really want Final Fantasy VII as it was, you could just go onto the PlayStation Store and get that right now, right? You could play it on your PSP, you could play it on the Vita, you could play it on the original PlayStation. I mean, it's there, right? It's not like when George Lucas originally redid Star Wars, and then all you could buy was the remade version of Star Wars. You couldn't get the original Star Wars for the longest time if you wanted to. I wouldn't really agree with. So if they delisted the original from the store and then just said, the hell with it, it's only the new one, I could see fans like getting in an uproar. But where they're going to offer you, here is the original, right? Exactly as it was. But then here's something where we tried to make it so much better given everything that we have now. We tried to Tomb Raider, Tomb Raider Definitive Edition it, if you will.
I would actually go more with the example of probably Ninja Gaiden, because before it was just a 2D platformer on the NES, and then when the Xbox came around, it became this 3D hack and slash. Still tough like the NES games, so.
It's like when they did the remaster for DuckTales.
Well, I guess I don't know. I guess I see it.
DuckTales.
I'm with Mr. Nikon on this one, actually. I think, obviously we'll have to see. There's no gameplay footage whatsoever. They're only talking about it. The project's only begun. But me personally, as a gamer, what I'm hoping to see is something more like a DuckTales to DuckTales remastered than where there's things in there that are clearly inspired from the original, carried over from the original, in lockstep with the original, but then is so much more expansive than that. Bigger missions, more gameplay elements added, things like that, and then they kind of push it over the top with unlockables and that kind of stuff. I'd much rather see something like that than see Final Fantasy VII, the remake, become like some completely different game. I think Ninja Gaiden side-scroller to Ninja Gaiden, Black or Ninja Gaiden Sigma, that's not the kind of change that I'm hoping for with Final Fantasy VII. I still want it to be a JRPG. I still want it to be, large overhead worlds. Kind of like Warcraft-ish type of, 3D perspective. That's really what I'm kind of hoping for. Now, if they revamp the battle system, that's fine. If they add additional, characters or side quests or whatever, I'm totally cool with that. If they remove some side quests that kind of bog the story down and won't really make sense, right? Do we really need to see Cloud cross-dressing in HD? I could go either way.
How are they going to even make that work?
I could go either way on that one, I really could. I could see it being incredibly hilarious or just really super creepy.
Or that scene with all the buff guys.
Right.
They could also change your name down the line, So instead of just starting, it could be either change it to Final Fantasy like 7X or Final Fantasy
13-7.
8. You know?
Well, I think one thing that they probably will try to do, right? They're probably they have Crisis Core, and they have Advent Children. I am pretty. I don't want to say sure because obviously I can't be sure because I don't have any insider info or whatever. But I would be really surprised if they decided to go in a direction with the new Final Fantasy remake that suddenly invalidated the prequel and the sequel. So I think they're going to try to get something that fits nice in the middle with the existing canon, but makes it a more interesting story to both see and play. Because the reality is, if you try to play the games in order now, you play Crisis Core, then Final Fantasy VII, and then you watch the movie Advent Children, it's like, okay, quality is,
Wait, where
pretty
does
darn
Dirge of
good.
Cerberus land in on those?
What was that?
Where does Dirge of Cerberus land in on those?
The Dirge of Cerberus would be after all that's done and over with, and you're just bored and desperate for more Final Fantasy VII.
Which a lot of people are.
Yeah, a lot of people are. So I think if Square's listening, 8BitDO listened to my feedback. So here's my feedback for Square, right? Dirge of Cerberus. Remake that for either the PS3 or the PS4 with Move support, or for the Wii U, because the biggest problem people had with that game was the controls suck balls. So if you actually put it on a platform where you could actually have aiming and shooting mechanics that didn't suck, I think the game would find its audience, personally. But in terms of, Final Fantasy VII in the middle, I don't think they're going to retell Final Fantasy VII in a way that makes it so that the other two properties are garbage. I think they're going to try to preserve the beginning and end, but a lot of the stuff in the middle might be kind of mushy.
So you're saying that there might be a scenario where you can save what's her name, Eris?
I don't think that will happen. Anybody that's beaten the spoiler alert for a 20-year-old game, but anybody that plays the game to completion, there's no way that they can legitimately make for two reasons. Number one, if they do make it possible for you to save her, now you have a paradox with none of Final Fantasy VII Advent Children makes any sense whatsoever, because Final Fantasy VII Advent Children is all about Cloud coming to terms with the fact that it's not his fault what happened, and that it's okay for him to go on living. That was her gift to them, to everybody, was that they would be able to live on, that the Earth would be able to live on. But Cloud, even after defeating Sephiroth, just always felt like he failed because of what happened. So
yeah, even though dead bodies don't tend to sink.
But I think it would. So I guess that's what I mean by I think that what they're going to do is they might change some stuff, like add side quests or remove side quests, or maybe change the world map layouts or things like that, or maybe flesh out. Maybe we'll actually see more. More. I don't remember his name because I named him Beavis. I always name my characters like crazy things, like Spanky, Beavis, all that kind of stuff. Cletus. So I don't remember what. Dirge of Cerberus. What was his name? Vincent, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe we'll actually see in-game more backstory about Vincent, because, the whole reason we got a Dirge of Cerberus is because he had, there's all these hints that there's this fascinating backstory behind him, but he was, one of the only characters where we learned next to nothing about him. So if they were able to work that kind of stuff into the game, I think it would be great. I don't think they're going to rewrite major plot points like how the game ends and that kind of stuff. I don't think they're going to rewrite the beginning, like who Cloud is, who he really is versus who he thinks he is and who he's trying to be.
So not a better example of how he actually is able to wield the Buster Sword, other than memories?
Look, guys, right? Super light alloy metals. All right, come on.
Space
It's
age.
not effective. So what? It's made out of animanium?
It's made out of damantium. What?
Adamantium?
Who
Adamant.
knows? Who knows? So, Tyler, you've been kind of silent. I'll give you the closing opportunity to make closing remarks on the topic. Any opinion, one way or the other? Don't care?
Having never played the original, I don't have a whole lot to add. I agree, though, with pretty much everything you said. I think that, it just stands to reason that if there's games that come before and games that come after, they can't do a whole lot to the story to change it. I think if anything, again, never having played it, I don't know what the story is, but I could see them maybe going similar to like Metroid Zero Mission.
Yes.
It's a retelling of the story, updated graphics, a whole lot of other crap thrown in to make it more interesting. I can see them going that way, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to get at earlier. You nailed it. That's actually the perfect description. You play Metroid Zero Mission, you can go back and play the original Metroid. It doesn't invalidate, or depreciate what the original Metroid was. They cut out a lot of backtracking. They cut out a lot of repetition and all that other stuff. They added a whole bunch of powers. They added a whole extra section of the game that didn't exist in the original. But the two can totally coexist, and you can play either or both and all the rest of the Metroid canon, and it all still makes sense. It's not like, oh, well, this isn't valid anymore because Zero Mission wiped all that stuff out. I think if they're smart, that's what Square's going for Final Fantasy VII. More of the Zero Mission, right, of Final Fantasy VII, and less of the Ninja Gaiden Sigma from Ninja Gaiden.
I was just talking about like gameplay-wise for that, I guess you could say.
Ah, okay. Well, that actually would be interesting if Cloud ran around like Ninja Gaiden. He's like clinging to walls and stuff.
Well, man, like we said earlier, just expecting possibly more Crisis Core type of gameplay as opposed to turn-based RPG.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think
that's the kind of analogy I was trying to get there, I guess.
And that's totally valid. I absolutely agree with you there. So we're up on time. So, folks, this has been Retro Reload. GameStop is here. They're selling retro games, and don't be afraid, because actually, as it turns out, the prices seem like they're not that far off. So you're just going to have to watch out for quality, because that's a bit uncertain. So tune in on Thursday. We'll have the Thursday, the East Coast crew, and another episode of Gaming Goodness for you. So until then, signing out.
Thank you. Good night.
Peace.